Well, hello. Welcome to the first installment of Week 3 videos on NX modeling. We are using NX modeling number 1899. Basically, it's version 13. They don't want to call it that, so you may find that I'm hunting and pecking a little bit around the board here because I'm more familiar with version 11, but the commands are all the same. The graphic user interface, or the GUI, is updated, so I have to find my way around it. NX is a very large, complicated program. There is a steep learning curve with any software, but remember, it's kind of like driving a car. You don't have to manufacture the car, you don't have to build it yourself or know how to fix it. All you have to do is know how to drive it. So I'm going to show you how to drive NX. Okay. When you first boot it up, you get the welcome page. Okay. And there's some good tips that you should probably go through here in a week or so when you get a little more familiar with the program. Go through these. First thing you have to do is create a file. So go to New. You either have to choose millimeters or inches. You can't convert afterwards, so make sure you have it in inches or millimeters. The homework over here, given over here, when you have the grid, we're calling this centimeter grid paper, so each one block is 10 millimeters. So this overall part is 10 millimeters or 60 millimeters. This is the right side view, so that'd be deep, 40 millimeters high, and I can't quite see that there. It's 40 millimeters wide, I believe. So make sure whenever you're doing CAD, you always draw to scale. Don't say, well, I'm going to double everything, okay, every dimension. No, always draw it to scale. Okay, so we're going to start off. Now, the first thing you do is you have to name it. So use your username. Every time you name the part, it should be a unique name. I'm going to call it K-Eddie for myself. And then there'll be a week 3 homework. And we're starting off with problem number 18. And let's go number 18. There we go. Always make sure it's a unique name so you can find it when you go back into your directory. And the folder, if you're using KU Cloud, you can go to your U drive. I do not have a U drive on the KU Cloud. I have an N drive. But I will just be putting this on my desktop. You go down here to where it says U drive, open that up, find your username, go to U drive, go to Mac 100B, I believe, for the spring term. Up here, section A, it'd be Mac 100A. And then underneath that, your subfolder under that, find your username. Double click on your username, and then create a new folder called Week 3. And you can put all your stuff. We'll go into that Week 3. If you are using NX on your own computer at home, then you want to get your VPN running. If your VPN is running from home, then you can get to the U drive also. Save your work on the U drive. I have permission to see your U drive and to look at your parts. So make sure all your work is done on the U drive and saved to the U drive. So I'm going to say OK here. And now until we create a model here, you won't be able to see me zoom in or out. You want to use your mouse. So you want a 3-button mouse. For a right-handed person, mouse button 1 is the index finger. Mouse button 1, 2, 3. Okay. Typically, you'll do most things choosing or clicking with your index finger. The roller ball will zoom in and out. And sometimes you have added functions with like right-click on the mouse gives you this. Okay. Double click sometimes gives you a menu. So, okay. Let's just start in here. You can either sketch you can extrude. Now, sketch is the first part of extrude. What solid modeling is the simplest form is you draw a two-dimensional sketch and you extrude it. If you draw a one-dimensional sketch or a line and extrude it, you get what's called a ribbon, or just a two-dimensional surface. If you take and create points and do a closed geometric shape, like a circle, and extrude it, you'll get a solid when it extrudes. So we want to create a solid. We will start with a two-dimensional shape, and then we will extrude it. So the two-dimensional shape is done with a sketch, and you can use the sketch command for that. Or inside the extrude command, it starts with the sketch. So we're going to just do it that way. We're going to go extrude, and we're going to pick one of these datum planes, either the horizontal datum plane or the profile datum plane. So it's a vertical datum plane facing to the right or left, profile, or the frontal datum plane. Notice I put my cursor on the corner of that blue box, and that's what, or that gray, and it turns blue box, and that's what causes you to choose it now. When I'm going to use we're going to be doing problem number 18 here, and I'm going to start by creating, and you always want to plan your attack. Okay, there's multiple ways to start with this. What are you going to draw first, second, third? You don't just draw the whole front view or the whole right side view. You draw a feature that you're going to extrude. So I'm going to draw. I'm going to make this back rectangular box. Okay, that's in the back. That's what I'm going to do first. So I'm going to pick a vertical plane facing forward, or the frontal plane, and click. Notice it rotates it now. I am looking at the front of the plane. Okay, it's facing me, the frontal plane. These lines just help you, like a vector line that you can measure from. Okay, anything can be measured from that. So I'm going to put this object starting here, and I'm going to draw it in the first quadrant. And it's just going to be a rectangle. I'm going to start here, click and drag. Now the rectangle, all of these functions up here are different sketch lines. You can do a profile line, which is a multiple. Let me escape out of here and show you. Profile line. Well, every time you click, it draws another line. Okay, that's called the profile line. The rectangle. Typically, you do a two-point rectangle, so you click, drag, and you click the opposite side, and there you have a rectangle. A circle, of course, you click. There's different circles by center and 3 points on a circle. So you click and drag it out and then click to drop it, and you have a circle. Line just does one segment. Click, and that's it. If you want to go again from there, you have to click on that endpoint, click again. So typically you'll use the profile line unless you're only drawing just one line, like connecting two endpoints or two other lines. There's also arc and spline endpoint, fillet and chamfer, which we'll get to. Let's go back here. The back button and forward button, you'll use these a lot. If you make a mistake, just the easiest way is just back it out. So let's do the rectangle. I'm going to start from the coordinate 0, 0, 0. Oh, by the way, up here is your snap. Oh, click on there. You probably want to turn off the poles, the defining point, and sometimes point on a curve. Point on a curve will snap it to somewhere along a line that you've created, a sketch line, and it'll be on that line. Existing point, we usually don't have existing points, but that's okay. Leave that one. These sometimes will put you where you don't want to be. So, endpoint snap, midpoint snap, center point snap. If you want to snap to the quadrants of a circle, turn that one on. So we're going to go to rectangle, 2-point rectangle. From here, quadrant, C says X, C, Y, C. That means X coordinate, Y coordinate want to be at 0. I'm going to click and drag it. And it really, now you see the width and the height there? So this thing, the width of the part from the front view, there on number 18, is 40 wide, and tab to go to the height, and it's 40 high. Enter. Okay, there's my rectangle. I'm going to say enter and escape. You can also, I think, click on the center mouse button, the roller ball, to exit out of a command. Mine doesn't always snap really nice, so I usually just use the escape command to break out of it. Then you can use the roller ball to zoom in. Now, don't worry, the dimensions are rather large, but they'll fix themselves after the first time. It was expecting you to do a larger part. Okay. But that's, now notice at the bottom here, should say, do I have it covered up? Yes, I do. Okay, let me, just a second. There we go. Center this is better. So on the very bottom, watch this carefully when you're drawing sketches. It should say, when you're done sketching, it should say sketch is fully defined. We always want defined sketches. Notice that it turned gray when you do a closed geometric shape. That's ready to extrude into a solid. The other text here will tell you what it thinks you need to do next. Okay, so you can read that if you're stuck and you don't know where to go. But always watch this. You're not done with your sketches until it says the sketch is fully defined. You define it by either doing geometric constraints, making lines parallel or at an angle, same length, equal length, collinear. And here's the geometric constraints up here. Make coincident points. So you can make two circles of different size. You can make the centers of them coincident and put the centers together. If you said make this line endpoint and this line endpoint coincident, it would put the points on each other. So that's what coincident means. It puts 2 points in the same spot. We also have make collinear. So if you have 2 lines in space and you want to put them to the same, you want them on the same line, not necessarily touching, but along the same line, then when you said collinear and you click on this line and this line, boom, it brings them onto the same line. This is horizontal and vertical. So if you drew a line and it is not horizontal or vertical, and you wanted it to be horizontal or vertical, you say make vertical, click on the line. Don't click typically on the end point or the midpoint, but somewhere else, and it turns it. Apply it if you like that, and now it's vertical. Okay. Let me undo that, and undo it again. Also, if you draw something and you want to get rid of it, you can right-click on it and hit delete. Okay, so that's another way. You probably can also, let's try this yet. Click and drag, highlight it, hit delete on your keyboard. So different ways to delete. Let's see if I can also extend trim. Trim, if I highlight a line, I put the cursor on it and click on it, notice the little eraser symbol. It will erase it until it hits the next line. Do that one. If you click and drag a line through several lines, one or more lines, it'll erase whenever you drag it over. So there's different ways to use the erase command. Okay, we got that one created. When you're done with your sketch and it's fully defined, you hit finish flag here. It then goes back to the orthographic view and it starts to extrude. Remember, we used the extrude command. We went in, did the sketch, and then it pops back out, rotates it in like isometric view so you can see it, and then you can extrude it. This thing is 15, a box and a half, so 15 millimeters. Now there's different ways to set your length of your extrude. You can change the value here. There's a starting distance from the plane that you sketched it on, and there's an ending distance, and we're going to go 15 units. 15 millimeters. Let's zoom in up on it. I'm zooming with the mouse roller ball. but you can also hit this button here, isometric, and it'll zoom in. Okay, so you can use the distance. Remember, it's measuring from the sketch. You can also use negative distances like 6. Okay, so you can start negative and go positive. You can start positive and go negative. Either way you want to do it. I'm going to go this way toward us, 15 units. Inferred is the Boolean operation. This is by default, and it's going to create it. You can also subtract. If I already had something there, I can subtract this from it. Right now I don't have anything to subtract from, so it doesn't give me that option. But your Boolean operations are, you can add or create with inferred, or none. That creates it. Unite unites it when you pass it through some other object. It would, connect it together with it. Subtract, it would subtract what you're extruding through that part or create a hole there. Intersect would intersect them, so whatever they have in common remains. Okay, two globes coming together, you'd get like this shape inside it. So intersect takes what is in common to both shapes and saves it and deletes everything else. So we're going to create that. Once we have the Boolean operation correct, we're going to say OK, and there we have it. If we look at it, we say, oh, that's not right. I want to edit that. You can right-click, go to Edit Parameters. That sends you back into the Extrude command. Okay. I'm going to escape out of this. You can also go over to the Extrude, right-click on here, and edit it. Let's see, we can edit the sketch of it. So the sketch is inside there. I'm going to go to Edit Sketch. There, you're back to the sketch. You edit it. When you're done, hit Finish. So you can either choose the model itself, or over here what's called the Part Navigator. This is kind of like the chronological history of the part. You can click on it or features of it over there, and sometimes it's easier to find it there than to actually find it in a complicated model. Okay, that's done. So we did this back piece here. Okay, this back piece. Now we're going to do the front. So I need to pick a datum plane and sketch on it. I could pick either one of these 3 datum planes, or now any of the surfaces that we've created, the new planes. Since I'm going to stick this out from this line right here, from this surface, I'm going to pick the front face. So I'm going to go up to Extrude, pick the front face, and rotate it. We are now on that face. And as we're a little bit off center, so I'm going to pan it, click and drag the mouse button 2 and 3, center mouse and right mouse button, click and hold those and you can pan. Okay, that's panning. Zooming is the roller ball, and it always zooms about where the cursor is, so put the cursor where you want to zoom in and out too. Okay, so we're in the front view now, looking at this part, and I want to draw this shape with this diagonal line on it, this perimeter. And then we'll have to cut this inclined plane off later. So the simplest form of modeling is to create a sketch and then extrude it. I say that the simplest is it's like the first generation, if you will. It is easier to edit the solid later with other commands like chamfering off or making an edge blend or curve on a corner rather than doing a sketch and passing it through it. Okay, so when you'll find out that sketching and extruding works, but if you can model it or change the model with another command that changes the model itself without drawing another sketch, you want to do it that way. We'll get into that. You'll pick it up on it fast because sketching, you need to sketch it, you need to constrain it to geometric and dimensional constraints, and then you need to come out and extrude it. If you could just work with the model itself, that would be faster, wouldn't it? Okay, so let's draw this thing. We're going to use the profile line. We're going to start at the bottom corner here. Can I start at the bottom corner? It doesn't want on. In the new version here, I haven't figured out how to make the snap work in something that's not the active model. In the new version here, I haven't figured out how to make the snap work in something that's not the active model. It's in the background, but we can get around that. I'm just going to click near it so you can see that I'm on this line. I can snap on the line, but I can't really snap on that sketch in the background. So I'm just going to get close to it, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to go up to about 20 units, and then I'm going to go over 10, and up 10, and over 10, and down to about 5 off the bottom. And then there, oh, that should have been over there. That's okay. It'll fix it later. And then there. So there's my shape. Now I have to constrain it to the correct dimensions. So all you have to do is highlight, put the cursor on the line, it'll highlight, click once. It makes, see that says squiggly equal signs, like approximately equal to 28.8. This is called an auto dimension. It's not constrained yet. You want to constrain it, so you double click on it. You can then extend this. And I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to do something else first. I'm going to do this one first. So I know this is going to be 5. Right? Now, I'm not sure if that line looks like it's stuck on the bottom of the line in the back or not. So again, but it's close. We'll find out. We'll just keep putting dimensions on until it says it's fully constrained. Okay, so I'm going to escape. Now again, my roller ball sometimes sticks a little bit, so I get used to just hitting the escape key to exit out of that dimension. Let's zoom in so we can see what we're doing. Okay, if the dimension turns black, colors mean things, okay? So when the dimension turns black, that is now a constraint. That line is constrained at 27 millimeters. It should be 30, should be 40, right? 40. So let's double click on that again and change it to 40. There we go. Let's keep up. Okay, let's put some other dimensions on here. Click and double click. And this one should be 20. And this one should be 10. And this one, oops, wrong one, 20. You always got to remember the NX13 works a little bit different than the NX11. Oops. Click once. Double click on dimension. I'm learning the new program here. It's a little bit different than the NX11. Okay, exit out. Okay, good. Now I want to get to this line. Remember, don't pick on the center of it. Midpoint. There we go. Double click. 10. Enter. Now, sometimes it warps, okay, like this. The solution is either grab a point, stretch it back where you want it, or undo that last dimension and put a second constraint in here instead first. Okay, so let's go back to putting a dimension here. So click. There it is. Double click on it because we want to change it to 10. There we go. Yep, that's 10. And zoom out a little bit. Roller ball. Okay, does that look about right? That looks about right. It says sketch is partially defined. Notice it's not quite in the right location. I can still move it in relation to the coordinates of the other parts. So I need to put this thing here. Now I'm not sure how to make it dimension to an inactive sketch in the background, but I can dimension it to this line here. So until I figure out how to do the other one, I'll do this one. So click this line and this line and put a dimension between those of click 40. Oops, 0. I'm sorry. What did I do? Let's go back. I did something wrong. It says 42. I wanted 40. Enter. What I clicked on here. And escape out. So that looks like it's just like this one over here, right? Looks like it's right. It says sketch is fully defined, so I'm done. Finish. And going to extrude this out. What is that? 45. Yeah, you can pull on the arrowhead or on the ball. This is the start. This is the end. You can move these if they get in your way. And so this one should be 45. If it's a whole number like 45.23 or something, you have to type in. But usually you can drag it. Now, if I just say inferred, it's going to create a second part that's not attached to the first part. Or, well, inferred it might do it. Yep, it did it. Okay, so let me right click on there and go edit parameters again. Let's see if I can make it not work. Oh, it went to unite. Let's say it just said none. So if I just said none, notice they are not connected. There's that line. That's just an edge line. Okay? It doesn't mean anything. It just shows you where the edge of the part is. So, yeah, and the roller ball, if you click and hold it, you can spin it. Okay? I think if you click an edge of a part, anyway, you can click and spin it like that. To bring it back to like the home position, you want to click on the isometric here. Okay, so we want to right click, go back to edit parameters, and make sure that is united. All of these parts are considered to be a homogeneous solid, like you whittled it all out of one block of wood. Select the body. If it doesn't give you an OK here, select the body. You have to tell it what are we connecting it to. It doesn't know. Notice there's no black line here. Now, in order to create this inclined plane out front, we would have to go to the profile view, like here, and draw, and it would rotate it, right? And then we'd have to draw like a triangle here and subtract it through there. And we can do that. Might as well. It starts where at? It starts 10 units up from the bottom. Something like this. Now you're always in a sketch, and then you're going to constrain the dimension. Okay, so this thing would be 15 units, 15 millimeters. Escape out. This one is 20 vertically. Oops. Okay. And notice it still wants to move around, so we have to dimension it. Let's go from here to this vector here, and that would be, let's see if that's from that line. That's from that line. That would be 25. I'm not sure how to make this line here like on the X or on the Y axis, how to move it yet. For some reason it just appears where it is, but that's something that we didn't have in version 11. But there's always a way to do it another way. So let's go from here to, let's say here, which is the front face of that. So this would be 45. Right? You want to put it exactly where you need it to finish it and to extrude it. I'm doing this extrusion so I can show you the subtraction. So you say subtract, and then it's going to cut that as it goes through. So there's the one way. You saw what that took, though. Pick a plane, draw the sketch, constrain the sketch, and then pass it through there, subtract it. Let's back it up. If we can manipulate this solid without sketching it, we'd want to do it because it's faster. And we could do that with a command like, where's it at? Chamfer, here it is. So chamfer, and this chamfer is not symmetric, it's asymmetric. It's 15 horizontally and 20 vertically. So I want an asymmetric chamfer. This is the edge that's being cut off. So one is 15, one is 20, and I can never remember which one is which, so I just put in 15 and 20. If that doesn't look right, no, it's got 20 here, then change it. Well, that's different. I can't say offset and angle, asymmetric, right? No, normally in the other, gee. Okay, I'm working on my computer with the downloaded version of NX, not on the the KU Cloud version. And on the KU Cloud version, it gave me an option to switch them, and I don't see it in this. This might be a slightly different version. Oh, it's up here probably. Oh, here it is. Okay, I was looking at this box. I should have been looking up here. Reverse direction. We'll reverse these two values. Boom, there we go. So that's what we wanted. 15 across top, 20 vertically, and then we say OK. Now the difference between OK, apply, and cancel. Cancel would cancel you out without doing this editing, this manipulation. Apply would apply what we just have here, but stay in the chamfer command in case you wanted to chamfer another edge. OK would apply it and then cancel out. Okay, so we don't want to do any more chamfers, so we're just going to say OK instead of apply. You know, we're almost there. All we have to do is cut this thing out. See that hidden line through there? We need to cut that out. We can either cut it from the right side through horizontally, or we can cut it down through the top. Either one works. Let's just go extrude. Let's pick this surface, and let's just cut it right across here. Let's put a rectangle. And size it. Oops. Let's size it. This is 15. I mean, it looks 15, might be 12 or something, but looks about 15. And I'm just going to make this side 40. And then I just have to place it where I need it to go. So from here to this line is 15, 20, 30, I believe. And top to bottom, it really doesn't matter where it's at, as long as I'm cutting through that mountain thing here. So I'm just going to go from here to here and just put a value from here to here. And I'll get 20, oops. About 20 will center it. And is it done? Fully defined, yes. Hit finish. And then from that point, we're going to cut down through. Not too far down through. Let's see. We're going to go from 0. It always takes your last values and puts them back in. Okay, we're dropping down just 10 units from the 0. There we go. And subtract. It always puts in the last units you were using. It's trying to help. Sometimes it's not help. And say OK. Hit the isometric button. Hit the save button. If you have a bad internet connection, it keeps dropping on you, I would save after every command. And every time you say OK, finish the command, I'd hit the save button up here in the corner. So that's the first one. What's the next one? Next one is this one here. And I'm doing the same homework problems you're doing. It's not like cheating or anything. It's just because you can do these. Well, let me say something else. How to learn the program. The program is, there's a steep learning curve. It's like learning a new game on your computer, okay? You know the controller maybe already, okay? So it's like knowing your keyboard and and mouse here. But things change, right, between programs. So you have to learn. Now let me start this over. Edit that. Okay, so here's the next one, number 24. And we're going to do this one. I'm doing the same problems you're doing for your homework, but that's okay. Now, how are you going to learn these? How are you going to learn the program? The best way to do it is, you say, what do I do first? What do I do second? It's kind of muscle memory you got to learn. It's muscle memory. It's what command you use first, second, third. And so you're doing a lot of the same things over and over. You're picking a plane, drawing a sketch, extruding. Picking a plane, drawing a sketch, extruding. Or maybe using a chamfer command or something like that. But you're doing it over and over, and you got to get into that pattern, okay? So it's like learning keystrokes on a controller for a new game. The best way you can do that is do the same problem 5 times, okay? You don't have to do them all 5 times, but you're just trying to learn a program, not necessarily getting, and maybe learning how to start the part from like, do a frontal plane sketch first, and then do the model. The second time, start on the right side and do a sketch first, and then do the model. And that'll change it up just enough that you're learning as you're, learning the commands. But that's what you want to do with the first couple parts, is just learn the sketching, the mechanisms, and not necessarily, get to the end result, but learn the mechanisms, because you want to get fast and familiar with how to manipulate the first simple commands, the sketching commands, and make sure you don't break the rules. Make sure that you know how to do the dimensioning. Make sure you know how to finish it. Make sure it's defined before you end it. Okay, so we're going to start this one. We're going to go to File, and you know what? That is the first part. So I'm going to try and keep these videos short. So I'm going to end this video now, and we'll start up with the next part in the next video.